Hey there, everybody. Shelby Young here from Hampshire Hills Athletic Club, doing another nutrition education and discussion live stream. We'll give a couple minutes here for people to tune in. This is, I believe, the fourth time that we're doing this, and today we're going to be touching on going vegetarian. Hey, got a couple people here. Uh, so that was a topic that came up a couple times last week. And so we'll dig into that a little bit today about health benefits of the vegetarian lifestyle, ways to do vegetarianism right is a way that we hear it described commonly when someone tries to go vegetarian and they're like, well, it didn't work for me. And then someone else says, well, you just didn't do it right. So that's something we'll try to touch on today. And I'm not going to get into the morals or ethics of eating or not eating animals because that's just outside the scope of this live stream here. Obviously, I think everybody, whether they choose to eat meat or not, would, hey, Linda, uh, advocate for healthy living conditions and basically treating the animals as well as possible if they are going to be raised for food. So that's something I think we can all kind of get behind. So once again, a little disclaimer: I am not a medical doctor, so if you have any health concerns or significant health conditions that could be directly affected by your diet, then you should certainly consult with your PCP or a registered dietitian. Um, and yeah, hopefully that covers everything. If you have specific needs, then please consult with your doctor. And yeah, we will move forward from there. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them here in the live stream, and I will do my best to answer them live. Like I said, kind of the main topic today is going to be the ways to do vegetarianism right, or veganism as well. We'll go over kind of some of the different camps and distinctions and things that people fall into. Hey, we got a few more people joining in. Um, so yeah, let's kind of get rolling. So one of the biggest things when choosing to omit animal products from your diet that you need to watch out for is we talked about protein some in the last couple live streams, different ways that you can get protein from non-animal products. So beans are obviously the easiest source of that. There is some protein available in nuts, but keep in mind you're also going to be getting a good amount of fat with that as well. So if you're tracking your macronutrients and you're trying to keep your ratios tight, then you got to make sure that you account for both of those. Same thing with most beans, with the exception of lentils. You're going to be getting a pretty good whack of carbohydrates as well. Chickpeas tend to have a better ratio of more protein to carbohydrates, but still something you got to watch out for. One of the biggest issues, if you choose to completely omit animal products, so going full vegan, is fat soluble vitamins. They can be difficult to get from solely plant sources, so those are going to be A, D, E, and K. So if you dig into your nutritional science a little bit, you'll see that fat soluble vitamins are exactly what they sound like: vitamins that are dissolved within fat and processed through fat sources, as well as if it's a water soluble vitamin, so like vitamin C is water soluble, then it means that obviously it breaks down in water. Your body tends to have a much higher tolerance for water soluble vitamins um, because your body is over 70% water. So it makes it pretty easy to absorb high levels of water soluble vitamins, as opposed to fat soluble means that you're going to have a much lower tolerance for them. And so I'm sorry, I don't know all this off the top of my head, so I'm going to be referring to my cheat sheet here. Please don't get mad. So, vitamin A is one that's very good for heart, lungs, kidneys, lots of other things. It is most available through beef liver. Cod liver oil is another good one. You can get it through sweet potatoes, spinach, carrots, leafy green vegetables are a good source of just about everything. So definitely make sure that you're getting lots of leafy green vegetables in there. But it is most high, especially like grass-fed beef liver is one of the most nutritionally dense foods in existence. It kind of blows everything else out of the water with result in regards to fat soluble vitamins. Hey, how's it going? So again, if you have any questions, feel free to log them in here today. We're kind of touching kind of heavy on vegetarianism today, and veganism and pescatarianism and some of the other plant-based eating systems, if you want to call them that, eating styles, diets, whatever you want to call it. So broccoli's good, sweet red peppers are good. So those are good ways to get your vitamin A in if you're not going to be eating much animal products. So, vitamin D. Everybody talks about vitamin D, and for good reason. So, your body can produce and process vitamin D from the sun. If you are of fairer skin, then you probably need more vitamin D than somebody who has more melatonin in their skin, especially up here in New Hampshire in the Northeast, where finally now the sun is making an appearance on a much more regular basis. We've been dealing with our 6 to 8 months of winter, which can be very tough. So I can't imagine what it's like living up in like northern parts of Alaska, up near the Arctic Circle, where you might not have sun for weeks at a time. But so get out in the sun, not to the point that you burn, but definitely try to produce some vitamin D naturally. Use sunscreen, especially if you have risk for skin cancer, history of skin cancer in the family. Try not to burn, especially if you've got kids. Every sunburn a child gets before the age of 10, I believe, doubles their chance of producing or of getting skin cancer later on in life. I think that was the last study that we saw on that. So definitely a little sun's good. Too much is obviously a problem. Um, so once again, fatty fishes are going to be your best sources of vitamin D from animal products. I'm sorry if the camera's moving around a little bit. I don't have my phone stand today, so I'm just doing it with my hand. Um, so beef liver, cheese, egg yolks, things like that are going to be good sources of vitamin D. If you're going to try to get it from plant food sources, mushrooms are kind of your best bet, unless you're going with fortified foods like almond milk, or is one way to get it if you're not going to supplement. Vitamin D supplementation has generally been found to be pretty safe. Obviously, spend a little bit of money, get a good quality vitamin D supplement, but it's one that has a lot of effects on bone health, immune systems, so many different things. But it's definitely a very important vitamin. So you want to make sure that you're getting adequate vitamin D levels. Now that at least that the sun's out, get out, try to produce it naturally that way. Vitamin E is the next one, our next fat soluble vitamin. So this is very important in helping reduce the number of free radicals that your body produces. So if you don't know, free radicals are basically microscopic elements that can cause damage to cellular wall linings, damage to DNA, things like that. So antioxidants help reduce the number of free radicals within your body. Um, Now, too high a dose of antioxidant can be problematic as well, but too much of anything is a bad thing. So you're going to hear me talk about that a lot. So you can get vitamin E from nuts, seeds, leafy green vegetables. Again, always get your good leafy green vegetables, your kale, your chard, your spinach. That kind of stuff's always going to be good to have in your diet in order to make a well, healthy, and balanced diet. Um, but nuts and seeds are obviously a good thing. Keeping those in moderation, once again, because too much fat has too many calories in it. Too high in omega-6 can cause too much systemic inflammation. So there's always going to be a balance. Think of it like a teeter-totter. Your body's always kind of trying to maintain homeostasis, which is sort of the middle ground of everything. Hey, Rance. Thanks for checking in. Uh, so this is going to be kind of a science-heavy day, and for those of you who haven't noticed, just as we kind of hit on some of these fat-soluble vitamins a little bit more. So the next one is vitamin K. So this one is important for blood clotting, bone metabolism, blood calcium levels. There's also vitamin K2 is another important one as well. So this one is an easy one to get from plant sources. So once again, leafy green vegetables. You hear me say it a lot because they're great, and it's it's nearly impossible to overeat leafy green vegetables unless you have some specific sensitivity to leafy green vegetables or a fiber intolerance, which is a pretty rare one, but that does happen from time to time, which can obviously lead to incontinence and other issues like that. But otherwise, load up those leafy green vegetables, get those salads going, and try to get as many different vegetables within your diet as possible so you can get all those different vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals. Um, so there are a few different camps, and forgive me if I happen to misname one of them because I'm sure that many more pop up along the way. So when you have someone who is a vegetarian, sometimes they'll call themselves a lacto-ovo. meaning that they will also consume dairy products and eggs, but just not meat. Totally fine. And I'm not placing judgment on any particular camp you want to drop yourself in. Whatever feels best for you, whatever works best for your body, whatever fits best in your moral, ethical wheelhouse, rock on, go for it. Um, for pescatarians, that's someone who chooses not to consume any meat other than fish. And same thing, they might also choose to not do dairy products, not do eggs, that they're just strictly doing vegetables and fish. And that is actually a pretty darn healthy way to go if you were going to go about it. Obviously, you want to still try to get, hey, Susan, your organic, your wild caught salmon, wild caught fishes, things like that are going to be the best for the fish and the most healthy for you, most highest levels of natural omega-3 fatty acids within the wild caught rather than the farm raised salmon. Um, Now, going full vegan means that you are not going to have any animal products. So, no dairy, no eggs, obviously no meat of any kind, and some will also choose to even eschew honey because honey is produced by bees. Bees are animals, so that one I'm not 100% clear on because it doesn't. Bees produce honey whether they're in captivity or not. It's just something that they do. Once again, I'm not really going to dig into the ethics of that one a whole lot, but it's just always a kind of a touch point that hasn't made a ton of sense to me. Um, but so those are some of the different camps or eating styles. And same thing, I encourage anybody, like, if there's something that you're curious about, do your research on it, talk to your doctor, and run an experiment on yourself. Try eliminating certain foods, whether it be meat, whether it be gluten, dairy, nuts, anything. Obviously, we recommend generally that you cut back on sugar, especially added sugar. Uh, but if there's something that you feel like you might be sensitive to, you can either get a food sensitivity test. We talked about that a little bit last time, but give it a try. Try it for 3 to 4 weeks and see how you feel. If you want to get really deep into it, then you can track blood markers, things like A1C, C-reactive protein, blood glucose levels, cholesterol, all these different blood markers that will show. Calcium scoring is another one that you can see kind of how your body is reacting to both your diet and exercise. And that's usually going to be the most accurate way to really kind of see what's going on under the hood. If you've been thinking of trying out a new diet, new eating system, and you're curious of whether or not it's actually working for you, get numbers done before and after. Like I said, minimum of 3 weeks, probably 4 to 6 is going to be better to really see significant changes, and just see also how you're looking, feeling, and performing. With anytime you make a significant drastic change to your diet, there's probably going to be an adjustment period of a few days, maybe up to a week, where you're not feeling great. And that might not necessarily be a bad thing. It could be just your body readjusting to, especially if you're. We talked the last time, a few times about transitioning from kind of a higher carb to a lower carb intake. That especially if you're going to go full keto or super low carb, then your body's going to feel very different, and you need to give it time in order to adjust to that. So if the first few days you're like, oh God, this is awful, see if you can stick it out. You can do just about anything for a month and it won't kill you. Generally, once again, not a doctor, but tried a lot of different things. So, um, but you are your own best detective when it comes to this stuff. It's good to get, like I said, body fat analysis done, get circumference measurements done. How are your clothes fitting? How are your workouts going? How's your sleep quality? And make sure that you're getting good quality sleep in general. Sleep has a ton of benefits to the body, in addition to making you far less cranky and irritable and a lot easier to deal with. Sleep is your body's chance to kind of reset things. It's able to start to rebuild cellular tissues, lay down new bone mass, new muscle mass. It's your chance to kind of purge things through your lymphatic system. So it's your body's chance to kind of reset the switch. So you usually want to try to get 7.5 to 9 hours a night. Once again, your REM cycles run about 3 hours at a time. So if you're waking up after just 6 hours, you might feel better than if you get 7 hours because you could be waking up in the middle of that REM cycle. Once again, I don't know about you. I don't fall asleep as soon as I lay down, but it usually takes me a little bit to kind of unwind throughout the day. So try to plan that in as well. Some people do really well with power naps, 20, 30-minute naps throughout the day. So it doesn't tend to run that well for me, but if you're a napper and it's working well for you, rock on, go for it. Um, there, there's just so many benefits to sleep that I don't think I need to harp on it too much. But obviously, hey, honey barb, you want to avoid going without sleep for far too long. Yeah. Hey, thanks everybody for checking in. So once again, we've been talking about some of the different plant-based camps that people will break themselves off into in different ways in order to get your fat-soluble vitamins from that, as well as protein. So feel free to rewatch this later if you missed that part of it. Um, but now we're kind of talking about some of the benefits of sleep. There was a book written several years ago by T.S. Wiley called Lights Out, Sleep, Sugar, and Survival, which was an excellent book that kind of broke down all the benefits of sleep. They went into that in far more detail than I could ever go into here. But basically, the line was you want to try to sleep as much as you can without getting fired or divorced. And that's kind of a good rule to run by. Using blackout curtains is a good way to help make sure that you're getting a lot of sleep, especially during the shorter dark hours that we have as we're coming here into summer. Like I said, thankfully we're finally into summer. But if you're needing to extend the quality of your sleep, then blackout curtains in a cool, dark room are usually going to be a good way to go. Some people are really sensitive to EMF, so having things like your cell phone that I'm talking to you on right now right next to your bed might be interrupting your sleep cycles. If you think that it might be, you can try putting your phone outside the bedroom. And for those of you that say, well, my phone is my alarm clock, you probably have an alarm on your watch. Or you can just buy a good old alarm clock. They're usually only a couple dollars. So you don't need to have your phone right next to your bed at all times, unless you're somebody who's on emergency call or something like that. But I do have several clients who have tried that, tried moving their phone outside the bedroom and have found instant improvement in their sleep quality. So something to give a shot to that really won't cause any detriment and might help you a lot in the long run. Um, I heard it put really well one time that the hours of sleep that you get before midnight are worth way more than the hours of sleep you get after midnight. So going to sleep at 11:30 at night to get up at 7:30 in the morning, yes, it's still 8 hours, but you might be kind of pushing the envelope a little bit there. That you should be trying to get a little bit earlier. I know that isn't an option for everybody, especially if you're a shift worker. Shift workers really struggle, although we're all kind of in a bit of a weird place right now with having different sleep cycles, different shifts that we're working if you're working right now. So do the best that you can. Um, Try to stay on a schedule. Your body likes routine. So if you tend to go to sleep at the same time every night and get up at the same time every morning, it's usually going to be better than fluctuating vastly one way or the other. Um, as far as how food affects your sleep, some people find that having a big heavy meal right before bed can cause some discomfort as far as for the digestion process. And don't worry about the whole thing of like, well, you shouldn't eat too close to bed. Hey, Lit, um, because then the food just gets stored as fat because you're not being active anymore. The body is way more complex than that. You want to look at your total calorie intake throughout the day, kind of from that 30,000-foot view, as opposed to worrying quite so much about when you're eating throughout the day. That eating carbs at night does not automatically get turned into fat. It's not, your body doesn't work that way. However, if you eat too many carbs too close to bedtime, it can interfere with your body's natural human growth hormone, your HGH production that happens while you're sleeping. So that is something to take into account if you're trying to build muscle and burn fat. HGH is obviously a very powerful component of that, which is why so many of the baseball players got caught taking it not that long ago, and a lot of them still take it. It's a difficult one to detect with a lot of different tests because it only has an active half-life of a few hours in your bloodstream. So people that are abusing HGH and using it as a performance-enhancing drug tend to be a little bit tougher to catch. However, we have seen issues like when you had Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa back in the day when they were overdoing it, that their hat sizes went up, their fingers were growing. Like it's uncontrolled cellular growth, which there has been some link to that HGH abuse and tumor growth. So something to watch out for if you were planning on abusing HGH, which I hope nobody here watching is. So anybody got any questions? I ran through a lot of material right there fairly quickly. Anything anybody's been curious about that you're looking for help with? No? Everybody's good? You all got this down? All right. So let's go over a little bit of some of the healthy lifestyle hacks. I talked a little bit last time about Pavel Satsouin's idea of greasing the groove, which is to just do activity spread throughout the day as opposed to trying to do it all at once, all in one workout. So obviously, if you can only set aside, your 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is you have once during the day to get your workout in, then do that. Do it all right there, and that's totally fine. But you can actually accumulate a lot more activity throughout the day if you spread it out, and your body will tend to recover quicker as well. When you put all of your physical activity into one small window, you tend to stack up that muscular damage, which muscular damage isn't a bad thing, only if you overdo it way too far. But that soreness, that delayed onset muscle soreness, the DOMS that tends to kick in a day or two after you've exercised, tends to be 2 days more so with lower body that it gets at its worst. If you do the kind of grease the groove pattern, which is you only do a few repetitions of a movement and you do that a bunch of times throughout the day, then you tend to spread all that out and your body's able to recover a little bit easier. So you can do that with, by if you set a few dumbbells in your kitchen so that every time you walk into your kitchen, you grab them, do a few, curl and presses, a few one arm rows, couple squats, couple lunges. It's not a ton, just like 2 or 3, maybe 5 at the most. Everybody's ability level is going to be different. If you're doing one full strict pull up is way outside your ability level right now, then trying to say that you're going to do 2 or 3 every time you walk in the kitchen is not realistic. So you'll want to use different exercise variations, things that are going to make it easier for you to get good quality repetitions in. The quality of your reps is going to be more important than the quantity. Um, because a bunch of sloppy reps, it's when you're not going to be targeting the muscles that you're looking for, and you're going to wind up potentially damaging your joints, especially if you're flailing around with weights. So if you have any questions about what is proper exercise technique, then you can talk to myself or any of the other great trainers here. We're happy to do video sessions with you where we can watch you work out and make corrections in real time, which is going to be quite a bit better than just you trying to watch a video. Unless you have really good body awareness, watching a video of an exercise and then trying to replicate it can be really tough, especially if it's a complex movement. Something simple like a bicep curl or a tricep kickback, probably not that big a deal, but there is a nuance to a lot of it that can help you get the most out of your movements. And if you're going to be putting the time and the energy and the effort into working out, then you should, you obviously want to get the most out of it. Um, but so I'm a fan of the greasing the groove pattern, especially if there's a move that you're trying to either get more volume in or something that you're working towards. Um, then you should practice it multiple times throughout the day because you want it to not be like this big overbearing thing that you're really trying to dig into, that you're just kind of making it more commonplace. Um, it's like the idea of walking. If you haven't been moving a whole lot right now and you're like, I'm going to go walk 10 miles, you're going to pay for it. As a friend of mine just posted yesterday, they wound up with a massive blood blister on the bottom of his foot because he went barefoot walking for several miles. And, his lungs might have been more than conditioned for it, but his feet weren't. And that's the thing is, when people talk about, it's the weak link in the chain is the thing that breaks. In that case, it was the bottoms of his feet weren't conditioned enough for it. So it's the same thing that if you're like, oh, well, I'm going to do, 100 burpees today. If you haven't done a burpee in a while, you might want to start with like 10 or maybe do, 3 sets of 5 spread throughout the day. You can start with just a little bit of something and then allow that to snowball into a much longer, more beneficial habit by not trying to do too much all at once. So obviously, it's good to work hard. It's good to push yourself and to try to see where your limits are, but you'll know fairly quickly when you've gone beyond your limits. And if you have questions about proper exercise programming, then that's where someone like myself or any of the other great trainers here will be happy to help you out with. Because, right now, a lot of you have free time and you're looking to try to improve your health, and that's what we're here for. We want to help you out. We spent a lot of time today reorganizing the fitness center in order to help with social distancing and be ready to go whenever the governor gives us the go ahead. We were originally going to be expecting to open tomorrow, but now the stay at home order has been pushed back. So it will be at the very least the 18th of May, maybe the 25th, maybe June 1st. We're waiting to get final confirmation on that because he didn't specifically address health clubs. But we're working on trying to get this back rolling again. But if you have access to dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance bands, TRXs, then obviously the more stuff you have, the more options you have in order to add variety to your workout. If you don't have anything, if all you have is body weight, that's fine. People have gotten very strong doing just body weight exercises. It's traditionally called calisthenics, which is it's an old Greek word or a blend of a couple different Greek words, but basically it just means using your body as your weight. And you can do squats, lunges, push-ups, planks, jumping jacks, running in place. The number of body weight only exercises is rarely significant. Obviously, the stronger and fitter you are, the more advanced movements you can do. If you start to break into some of the gymnastics type things, doing handstands and that kind of stuff. But same thing, don't just jump right into that. There's progressions. There's ways that you want to build up. Huh? Will? Okay. But there's ways that you want to work your way up to the harder skills. For things like handstand work, the wrists tend to be a lot of the weak point. If you're not used to having weight on your wrists bent at that 90-degree angle over time, there's wrist strengthening exercises and conditioning routines that you can do in order to help build up for that. But that's stuff we can dig into at another time. So I know I started off kind of ranting and rambling about plant-based diets and things like that today, and we got a little bit more into healthy lifestyle hacks throughout the day. But hope everybody's staying safe and healthy out there. Again, if you have questions, will you do a video or two about how to properly warm up and relax muscle afterward? Sure, yeah, we can put that out there. That'll be fine. But yeah, I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. If you have questions, comments, concerns, things you want me to address in these videos, if there's things that you think we can do to improve it, then please feel free to drop comments, shoot me a message. I'll be happy to answer as many of them as I can. But hope everybody's doing well out there, and I will see you all next time.